The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for November 30th, 2025. This is our last episode in the month of November. That's right, folks. This is season 15, episode number 24, and episode number 538 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard. I hope you had a very nice Thanksgiving. And I would like to introduce my co-host. She is
Taylor Welch.
Well, okay, so I let her announce it. But yes, she is Taylor Welch. And Taylor, hopefully you had a very nice Thanksgiving.
I've had better ones. It wasn't bad. I pretty much just slept the entire time. You know, I ended up getting sick the morning of Thanksgiving, which was super fun.
Yes.
So I ate no Thanksgiving Day food or the next day or the day after. So I'm ready to reset and just restart tomorrow.
Now, I know in some families, in some households, and we'll kind of break into, you know, the family life for you, Taylor. I know some families have turkey both on Thanksgiving and on Christmas. Does your family do that? Or do they do different types of foods on the two holidays?
They do two different foods. It's always so much food. My mom's side of the family, they're really good cooks. So it's usually way more food than anybody can ever stomach most of the time. They usually say that they're feeding an army, and there's usually, you know, this day and age, there's not that many of us left, which sounds horrible to say, but it's just, you know, families don't get together like they used to.
Sure.
So Thanksgiving is always done at my aunt's house because my mom's house is Christmas from the beginning of November until New Year's.
I've seen the video. It is phenomenal. Your mom does a very good job. We're working on it here at the Box Studios here in Kirkwood, New York. Absolutely getting ready for Christmas as well, but go ahead.
Just to put it in a little bit of perspective, she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees just in the living room. They're all themed. They all have, you know, their reasons and stuff. And that's just the living room. That doesn't count anything else. So she's Christmas from the beginning of November until, you know, after New Year's. Mm-hmm. So Thanksgiving at my aunt's is always turkey. And then Christmas is usually always ham.
Okay. So it is the typical where when people do swap out the foods, it's turkey and then ham. Very interestingly enough, my family has always done turkey on both days. You know, but it's only the 2 times that we actually have turkey throughout the year. We're not one of those families that will make a turkey in the middle of the summertime or in the springtime or anything like that. And then now my brother has been recently making ham on Christmas and bringing it. So we have both. But yeah, I was just kind of curious on how that was for you guys. And I am sorry that you got sick.
It's all right. I was kind of glad that I was able to just sleep and kind of avoid any family drama if there was any. So on that aspect, I'm not worried about it. And as far as eating turkey any other time of year, I'm not sure if we do either.
Yeah.
But my family's really big into hunting, so if it's not turkey, it's probably like pheasant or something random that they find in the woods. Who knows? Yeah,
that's pretty fair. So let's talk a little bit about the news. Now, you and I have known for a couple weeks now about Kyle Stephan returning. You know, just kind of looking at the Facebook pages and whatnot, I think the reaction has been pretty good about his return. I know there are still people out there that want to see Don return. They want to see Josh Fletcher return. And trust me, so do Taylor and I. We love both of those guys and think they would be great for the team. But at this point, as you're listening to this, maybe on Monday, maybe even on Tuesday morning, if you're listening to this, it'll be past the ability, the timeline for them to come back. We can basically announce that Don Oliveri will be our guest this upcoming Thursday here on the Power Play Post Show. So please look out for that. But Taylor, would you agree that the reaction so far online has been pretty positive with Kyle Stephan coming back?
I would say the reaction has been positive, but I almost expected more. I thought everybody would be like a little more excited, and that's the only downfall to this team is that every player that comes in here, fans get so bonded to so quickly. They could be here for a day.
Yeah.
And fans are upset if they go on somewhere else or if they play somewhere else or if we just get rid of them for any reason at all. And so that's always the interesting thing is I thought fans would see that, Stephan, is coming out of retirement. He's going to play hockey again, that was just going to be it. But people are like, oh, well, I really hate to see who's leaving. And it's like, it's the good with the bad. But overall, the signing of Stephan, I think everybody's very excited.
Your thoughts on this? You and I have had to hold this in for a little bit and did not be able to talk about it, even though I've kind of teased it a little bit here and there. Your thoughts on bringing Kyle Stephan back, obviously solidifying our center position a little bit.
I think, truthfully, it's huge. I mean, whether Tyson comes back next week, 2 weeks, however long it takes Tyson to come back, I think having Stephan in whenever he comes in, I know he may not be playing in the upcoming weekend against Port Huron, which is understandable, but having Stephan in kind of takes that weight of not having Tyson on the ice a little bit, because they're both very good at their jobs, and I think having a true center of Stephan it's going to be huge. Yeah.
And the face-off circle is going to solidify a little bit better as well when Steph gets in there. All right. So the Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and please don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. We are getting so many new members on the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. And just, come on in and be a part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. It is your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton hockey. And coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show, Binghamton Black Bears forward Ivan Bondarenko will answer 6 more questions. So very excited about that. Taylor, I didn't get to tell you yet, or maybe I did. I got to meet Katie last night, Katie Bondarenko. So it was really nice to say hello to her. Of course, she was still wrangling their 2 little ones around. Those kids have so much energy at 10 o'clock at night. I wish I could just bottle some of that and drink it because I would love some of that energy.
Yeah, that's kids for you. That would be my child at 10 o'clock at night sometimes too. That's why I make her go to bed early some nights. There are nights where she can't make it past 7, and there are nights where it's like 11 o'clock, and you're like, how?
Yeah.
They always have a lot of energy. You didn't tell me that you had met her. I know when I had mentioned her, because, we had kind of seen her because I saw the cute little Bondarenko shirts that the kids had on.
Yep.
And I was like, I would assume that's, his family, and that was wonderful that they were there. But that's got to be exciting, because she obviously had joined the group after, you had done the show with him. So I think that it's just really cool to see this kind of it's such a well-knit community that it's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I'm always happy to see the girlfriends. And, when I wrote about Jesse Anderson today, Ashley, who is his fiance, they just became fiancés, and congratulations to Jesse and Ashley. She liked what I wrote, and I really truly mean what I said about Jesse Anderson. He's a guy that doesn't get a lot of the accolades. He doesn't, but he's so important to the team. And it was just so fitting that his first goal was the game-winning goal for the team on Saturday night, where I think in some cases, people probably can look at that game and go, okay, that was just not Binghamton Black Bears hockey, at least not what we've seen so far this year. 2 games so far in this past week. They've been down by two goals, but they've come back and won them. But it was really nice after I wrote that, I saw Ashley actually, like that. And it just made me, feel like, okay, good. I'm glad the loved ones and some of the friends of these players are seeing some of the things that we're writing about them, because we are genuine with what we're trying to do here with the Power Play Post Show. We give people, information, insight. We discuss the games. We discuss what we see, and we want to give credit where credit's due. And let's be honest, we haven't had to do this yet. You and I, Taylor, when the team's been bad. So it's kind of easy to do what we do now. Maybe it's a little bit tougher because they continue winning, but it's great to see the family and the loved ones of these players seeing some of the recognition that we're trying to give some of these players.
I'm just glad that they gave somebody the game-winning goal besides Stubbs. I mean, I'm totally kidding on that, but Stubbs has had a lot of game-winning goals, if you didn't already know that. But yeah, Jesse, I mean, even the past several years, he has such an important role on this team.
But he's so quiet.
And it's almost like that's what you want in a defensive man.
Sure.
And he does his role almost perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, he plays it well, and he goes out there on a mission, and he knows exactly what he needs to do for this team, and he's done it for years. And I think he goes a little bit unnoticed. I say a little bit because I know that there are some young fans out there that just absolutely adore him. And after every game, you see the pictures of him making time for these young fans. Mm-hmm. And I just know that it's making core memories for these little kids. And it's one of those things that I don't know how people dislike this team because of the way that these players are.
I agree 100%. All right, let's get into our first topic.
All right, so as we kind of already discussed, Kyle Stephan returns to the Black Bears. The Binghamton Black Bears announced on Sunday the re-signing of two-time Commissioner Cup champion Kyle Stephan. In 45 games over parts of 2 seasons with the Black Bears, Kyle has 23 goals and 26 assists for 49 points. In 15 playoff games, he has had 2 goals and 5 assists. Kyle will solidify the center position for the Black Bears as they continue to improve the roster and head towards defending their championship.
Okay, so this means that the Black Bears now have CJ Stubbs, Ivan Bondarenko, Mac Jansen, Gavin Yates, Austin Thompson, Scott Ramakers. I'm including him in the forward section at the moment. Jacob Shankar, Zachary Demarais, Zach Sirota, Emerson Emery, Nick Swain, and now Kyle Stephan on forward. Tyson Kirkby is still on the IR, so he doesn't count towards these numbers. That's 12 plus 1, which is Tyson, right? So technically there's 13 forwards there, but 1 doesn't count. So we got 12. On defense, the Black Bears have Austin DeRazio, Dan Stone as the first D pair, then Jesse Anderson and Chicho Laughlin as the second D pair, and then Dan Weber and Cam Cervone as the third D pair. And I know they gave up 4 goals. I think it was 4 goals against the Thunderbirds, and I know that 3 of them happened in the second period. But Taylor, let's stop here for a second. I really like these defensive pairings. This is the defensive pairings of the last, I think, 6 games. Is these 6 guys together, and they've been so good.
Yeah, I really like watching them work together. I mean, DeRazio and Stone, I have loved since the moment I saw them together. And even fans that sit behind us during the games talk about how much DeRazio really makes them think of Bond. He truly, that's what he embodies when he's out there on the ice, which I think is it's really important. And Stone, he just seems, as I mentioned when I talked about in my impact players, that he seemed feistier this year. He's getting in the zone, and he's getting deeper in the zone. Normally he just kind of hangs out by the blue line, in my opinion, at least the last couple seasons. And he just seems like he's out there just making a bigger name for him. Maybe we didn't talk about him enough last couple seasons. I don't know. Anderson and Laughlin, watching them during warmups, and I noticed this when we were actually out in Danbury. Right. They do a lot of stuff together. They make sure they are on top of their passing, and it's really cool to watch kind of their warm-ups together. Yeah. They make sure that they're in sync with each other, and I think that's just really important. And then Weaver and Cervone, I mean, you can't not love those guys. Yeah,
well, what I like about this is that each one of these D pairs has a stay-at-home defenseman, and then you have a guy that can really move the puck really well. So that's Dan Weber, Jesse Anderson, and I would say Austin DeRazio just move the puck so well. Now, that doesn't say that Dan Stone, Laughlin, and Cervone cannot. They can. But those three really have notched themselves as really good stay-at-home defensemen so far to allow the other three, Weber, Anderson, and DeRazio, to move the puck. It's just right now perfect the way it is, which is really good. Nothing against Ramakers, but with them matching up those six guys together, it's allowed to Ramakers to be a part of the offensive game, and he's done well, and he's gotten 2 or 3 goals since becoming a forward. I just think that moving him out of there because of necessity, because they kind of had to, right? Bringing in these 6 guys and putting them together the way they did. I don't know if that was a Brant Sherwood decision. I don't know if that was a John Quenneville decision, because I know John is taking care of, really teaching the defensemen right now. But it's worked out really well.
Yeah, I kind of like Ramakers on being a forward. It's another one of those things where we have so many players on this team that have played in several positions, whether they were a center or a left wing or a right wing, or they were a forward or D-man, or they just kind of plug them where they need them and they can excel, and it shows.
Yeah, it works out. All right, so that's 6 players on defense. Now, we got Connor McAnanima and Dominic Tumay. Those are your 2 goalies, with Wyatt Freelander as your 3rd goalie or your +1 netminder. The Black Bears will be signing one more player soon, within a couple weeks, and expect the return of Tyson Kirkby. All right, so with that being said, a trade has been made already. I can tell you right now, there's a trade. The player was probably informed at some point today on Sunday, and it'll be announced this week, sending one of the forwards to one of the Southern teams. That's all I'm going to be able to tell you right now. This trade is to make room for the upcoming signing, because, again, even when Tyson comes back after that, one more person needs to go. So you can have 20 players plus 1 extra goaltender. And right now, with the trade that's about to happen, it's going to free up in a spot. But even then, when Tyson Kirkby comes back, because I think he'll be the last person to join this team that will really kind of put this team in a position of where it wants to be. And I can tell you right now, Taylor, and this goes out to all the fans, Brant Sherwood feels that when Tyson comes back and this next signing happens, now that we have Kyle in the center position role, and we have this other guy come in and Tyson back, he believes truly he'll have 3 first lines. These will be 3 first lines that he believes could play on any team in this league, and they would be on the first line. It would be the first line for those teams. That's how good he feels and how confident he feels. Now, let's be honest, Taylor. They're 15-2. So if he feels that they're going to be better with these, with Tyson coming back and this new player coming in, that says a lot about these, this player coming in and Tyson.
Yeah, it's so funny that, we always talk about this team and we're like, oh, well, that wasn't their best game, or, it was a win, but they had a couple rough patches, and yet, we're 15-2. But we're still talking about the team like, oh, well, they could fix this, or they can do this better, or this, that, and the third. And even Brant's like, if we can get these guys in here, we'll have, a great lineup. And that doesn't surprise me that that's something that Brant said. He seems to really know who he wants on this team, and he's going to make it happen. He's going to figure it out. And he's, as we'll be talking about in a little bit here, somebody that everybody wanted to come back. It's just not going to happen this year. And, Brant probably would have loved for him to come back. Yeah. I'm sure he would have loved to come back. There was no feasible way for it to happen. And Brant made it work.
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true. All right. So let's go into that next segment, because you kind of alluded into what I wanted to talk to the fans about. And I want to have a kind of like a serious conversation with the fans here, because as you mentioned earlier in the show, and you've mentioned this multiple times, probably even just in season 15 of the Power Play Post Show, fans get so overly, and I say overly in an affectionate way, I promise you, they get overly attached to some of these players. And to the point where when decisions have to be made, it's very tough for them to kind of like, not that they can't accept it, but to like, it hurts. It really does hurt. And we need to talk about these next 2 players, because I don't think we're going to see them this year.
Yeah, so tomorrow, Monday, December 1st, the roster/player signing deadline is ahead. So what does that mean for two players that the Black Bears are very familiar with? The first player, Don Oliveri, whose rights are owned and controlled by Topeka Scarecrows, he will not be playing this upcoming season, and likely his career is over. In 3 seasons and 76 games played with the Black Bears, Don scored 48 goals and 115 assists for 163 points. In the playoffs over 3 seasons, he played in 20 games and scored 9 goals and 12 assists and is a 2 defending Commissioner Cups champion.
Sorry, I should have written 2-time defending
Commissioner's
Cup champion. That's my fault.
You're good.
Again, this is a tough one for everyone. Everybody loves Don. But unless a miracle happens between now and tomorrow, which I don't think it's going to, and fans, if you're listening to this now, if you're listening to this on Monday, I'm going to be talking with Don. We're going to have this conversation. It's going to be a serious conversation. I'm going to try to have fun with Don. He's got a little girl that's going to be celebrating Christmas, and I think this is the Christmas where she's going to probably be able to enjoy it the most because, when you're really, really, really an infant, Taylor, as you know, you can't really, the kid doesn't really enjoy Christmas all that much, right? So we'll have some fun stuff to talk to Don about. But we'll have this serious conversation. This is going to be a conversation that, is important to talk to Don about because after tomorrow, there's probably going to be no way for it to happen. A trade would have had to have happened. His rights would have needed to came, and he would need to have agreed. Pretty much, I think everybody made the decision that they had to not bring Don back. There's still always, when I post, there's a signing coming, I get at least 2 or 3 comments. I hope it's Don. I hope it's Don. It's unfortunately not going to be Don. We all love Don. I think you will see Don in the arena every once in a while when he can, especially near playoff time. But I just don't think Don's going to play hockey again.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is it almost feels like it wasn't a proper goodbye.
Yes.
And I know that sounds really weird.
No, you're right.
Because, he came in and 2 seasons ago when, he got the first ring and everybody asked and, even you talked to him on the show and his wife was pretty much like, if he wants to do it, he can.
Yes.
And that was pretty much the go ahead for him to come back and do it 2 times in a row. And so everybody knows that, his wife is so supporting of him in his career, and he's done so much with his hockey career. So much. Like, there's nothing that this man hasn't done that he probably wanted to with his hockey career.
Right.
But he also figured out that he's doing something with his life that he has a whole new purpose now.
Yeah.
He has a family with his wife now. He's got a little girl. He's going on to become a fireman down in, I think, Philly is the area.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things that he's doing with his life. So he's okay without hockey. He
is. I really do think he is. And I think what you're alluding to basically is the time was right. But what's hard for the fans is there wasn't an official goodbye for him.
Yes.
And I think that's tough. I really do. If anyone from the league is listening, if Andreas is listening, it might be a good idea to strike some sort of deal with Topeka. So maybe he could sign a contract for a day and then officially retire as a Black Bear. I don't think that would be a crazy thing. And I think there is a love of him in Binghamton that it would be very appreciated. And no, he didn't play his whole career here in Binghamton. Matter of fact, he played a fraction of his career in Binghamton. But he made such a mark on Binghamton. He made such a mark on the legacy of Binghamton hockey. And Don may not realize that, but his 76 games or 96 games total, if you include his playoff games, those made a huge mark on Binghamton hockey. And I'm going to ask him that question. I'm going to talk to him a little about that, get his comments on that, because those 96 games, if those are the last 96 games he plays in his career, and yeah, I know he had a game up in Reading, so you can throw that in there, obviously last year. But those games mean a lot to the fans. And I think that if there was a way to bring him back and let him kind of retire as a Black Bear as a Binghamton hockey player, I think that would be very cool. And maybe even some closure, as what you were trying to allude to.
Yeah, I think like even if they could do like a celebrity contract, get him for one day and then he's gone the next. But
yeah,
I very much do think that if he was on the ice in a Black Bear jersey and then left, that everybody would be okay.
And I don't want to bring this to a downer, but we've seen what owners and what GMs in this league do when, like, if we talk about the Bernardo situation again, which is Danbury goes and signs him out of spite because of whatever beef they have with Brant Sherwood or the Binghamton Black Bears organization. And yes, I truly believe they did that out of spite. Well, so did Robbie Nichols. Robbie Nichols did the same thing out of spite. He basically took Don, knowing that Don wasn't going to come, but he was hoping for a big trade that he just was never going to get. And it's unfortunate. So hopefully maybe cooler heads can prevail and maybe something can happen, because that would be really great. And I don't know anything. This is not something I've talked to Brant or Andreas or anybody about. It's just something that I kind of wish would happen, because Don his personality and the way he played the game made such an impact on the fans here in Binghamton that there are going to be people 10, 15 years later still talking about Don Oliveri.
If anything else, at least his smile out there on the ice.
Yes, and I've captured a few of those
with a Twizzler
smiles.
in his mouth.
With a Twizzler in his mouth, yes, those are pretty much great. Okay, then there's Josh Fletcher, the champion. And I call him the champion because he likes to wear the WWE championship belt, especially when they've won the championships, the last two championships. Fletch played the last two seasons with the Black Bears and in 78 games, scoring 20 goals and assisting on 17 others. He played in 9 playoff games over the last 2 seasons, scoring 2 playoff goals. He did that in the first round of the first set of playoffs, the 23-24 playoffs. However, Josh was well known last season for stepping up and dropping the gloves when needed for his teammates, especially after Mathieu Ballard had moved on to the ECHL. Both Fletch and Oliveri will not be back this season for different reasons. They just can't be here. I think he's the other guy, realistically, who has such a fan following here in Binghamton that it's just very difficult. Again, unless Fletch flies into D.C. or flies into the States somewhere like he did last year on the last day, and then he shows up, on Wednesday, and I don't know about it because, they surprised me. But everything that I've heard, Fletch isn't going to be here. So those are the two guys I think that fans just kind of need to get ready for and go, okay, we have to move on from hockey from these two guys. Not that we can't love them, not that we can't still celebrate them, not that we can't love Josh when he comes in and hangs out here in Binghamton when he does, but we also have to realize that neither one of these two players may play another game in Binghamton.
And the funniest thing about all of this is even if either one of them could come back, that means somebody would have to go, and they would still be upset about the person that would have to leave.
And who would you release? Who would you trade away? I'll tell you right now, guys. We joke about this. We've talked about this multiple times about the tough decisions that Brant Sherwood has to make. The team is 15-2. We couldn't take on Don. We couldn't take on Josh, even if we wanted to right now, because who would you be giving up? And you can't even see. Here's the thing. I don't know how much money they get in the financial considerations. I don't know if it's vouchers or hotel vouchers or if it's gas money for the bus or whatever. I don't know what they're getting, if it's just really just cash, just money, right? But you can't legit get anything good for any of the players that we trade away unless it's money, because anything good player-wise, you'd be really kind of just disrupting what's already good here in Binghamton, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, it does. We've never made trades for other players on other teams.
Not since Brant came, no. That's
anybody that we let go that gets, somebody's out there scavenging the transactions page for any Black Bear player. So
yeah, it's true. Brant has never traded one guy for another guy. He really hasn't. And if he has, it might have been the rights to somebody, but not necessarily somebody who came in and played for Binghamton when we've traded somebody away. So either way, I just wanted to bring that up. Listen, the roster is going to be fine. There's going to be a couple more moves, obviously, as we've already kind of detailed in this. We are going to now go to our 6 more questions with Ivan. No, actually, there was a couple things I wanted to bring up about Ivan first, right? Wasn't there?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and I know you wrote it to me, so I have to go in there. Okay. So I wanted to talk about, first of all, why don't you talk a little bit about what we saw Ivan doing when Austin DeRazio scored a goal?
So if you rewatch the video, you will see that Ivan comes right up to his face and he's cheering, and then all of a sudden he just starts happily clapping right in his face, and he's just smiling ear to ear.
Yeah.
It's the most adorable thing.
I wouldn't call it adorable. I think it's pretty freaking awesome. No, it's pretty awesome. It just seems like, listen, Brant Sherwood told me he is such a good dude. And now, of course, you guys all heard last week. If you haven't heard, go back and listen to the show. It was a really good interview with Ivan Bondarenko. And you're going to hear 6 more questions here coming up in just a few minutes. But he is just such a really good dude. Now, he does have a bone to pick with me about something. Okay? I don't know if I've said this on the show yet. I think I just learned about it this weekend. But Ivan has a bone to pick with me, and it has to do with the fact that I said Garrett Milan is the best player in the league just before the Athens games were coming in. Apparently, Ivan was kind of like, no, he's not the best player in the league. Now, last year, he had 100 points in this league. He was definitely the best player in the league, and I still feel like he is one of the best players in this league for sure this season. So much so, I will say this. Brant Sherwood tried to recruit Garrett Milan to come to Binghamton. He had discussions and conversations with him. Brant Sherwood knows how good of a player Garrett Milan is. So maybe people on the Black Bears don't want to publicly admit that Garrett Milan is the best player or is one of the best players in the FPHL, but 100% he is. Now, when I made that comment, I believe you disagreed with me, if I remember correctly, on the air too, right?
I might have. I can't quite remember what I said. I do remember talking about it after the fact, because I mentioned that he has a flaw of he never looks up when he's got the puck on his stick.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a no-no in hockey.
And it is something that was brought up to me, not just by you, but by a couple other people as well. I get that. Totally agree. You want to have your head up or you're going to get laid out and it's going to be bad. But skill for skill, pound for pound, he is one of the best players in this league. And I still stand up to that. But I wanted to say this. If Ivan's listening to this, or if any of the players on the Black Bears are listening to this, the reason why you guys are 15-2 and no other team is right now in the FPHL is because pound for pound, player for player, this is the best constructed team in all of the FPHL, and it has been for the last 2.5 years. That's the reason why there's 2 championships. Not because the weakest link on this team is stronger than the majority of the other players on other teams. I just want to throw that out there. And Garrett Milan's pretty good.
It's very easy to kind of make that, connection. I mean, if you look at, Garrett Milan and be like, oh, well, he's the best player on that team. You look at our team, who are you going to say is the best player on our team?
It's hard to...
Not speaking just numbers.
No.
If you're just saying this exact player, it's very hard to choose one person.
You almost have to pick like different categories and say that they're the best, right?
You can't just be like, but for Garrett Milan, you're like, oh, well, he's the best player in the league. You can't do that on this team. You can't sit there and say, right. Oh, well, it's Ivan or it's CJ Stubbs or it's Dan Stone.
Or Tyson Kirkby for that matter. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I know exactly what you're saying there. And that's very true. It's hard for me to say who's the best guy in the faceoff circle. Well, we can say specifically that probably Tyson Kirkby, when he's healthy, he's the best guy on our team in the faceoff circle, right? But we could also say that CJ Stubbs is good at it. So is Kyle Stephan when he comes back, right? That's the reason why these guys are here. So 100%. Yeah, it's a hard conversation to have because, again, everything that I'm saying about Garrett Milan is subjective, right? Just like anything is. Like most things are when you're saying somebody's the best at something or somebody's number one, unless you're specifically talking about a stat, right? Which last year he had the most points in the league. Granted, he was a player who played at a higher level of hockey and then came and played here in the FPHL. And there are stats to back that, right? Everything else is kind of subjective, right? So you could say that Madonna was the best pop star of all time, right? But it's subjective because other people might say it's Michael Jackson. Some people might say it's Adele, or some people might say that it was Whitney Houston, right? So, and I know I just mentioned like 3 people that haven't performed in like 100 years. And so bad on me, but you understand my point.
Yeah, and the point that I was just trying to make is, everybody on our team goes out there and scores and gets points, and you don't have one person on your team that you're relying on. I'm not picking on the Rock Lobsters by any means. No. I'm not saying anything negative about them, but if you look at Garrett Milan and then you look at the 4 guys that surround him, they're all 3 feet taller than him. Yeah, and they're like out there protecting him, in my opinion. That's what I see when Garrett Milan's on the ice. Wow. So when you have one guy out there that you're expecting to score, you're going to have these big guys out there to make sure he can get to the net. Yeah. You basically just said the whole Wayne Gretzky school of thought, right? Garrett Milan can score. He can go out there and give you a lot. But then you have guys out there that are protecting him and making sure he can do that. And that was basically Wayne Gretzky's career. So anyway, all right. That's one point we wanted to bring up about with the Ivan clapping for Austin D'Orazio, and I think for Stubbs. The other thing I wanted to bring up about Ivan before we get to the 6 more questions is that if you watch him in warm-ups, there's a point in the warm-ups where he's kneeling down and doing kind of like a little bit of a stretch. Some guys do that kneel stretch type of thing. He's facing the other team while they're warming up. What I find very interesting about that, and this is something I did not bring up to him and I wanted to so badly last week. There was a lot of things that I could have talked to Ivan about, and we could have gone an hour and a half, probably recorded time easily, is I love that. He's studying the goaltenders as they're taking practice. He's studying the other team while he's watching it. Now, maybe he's zoning the frig out and he's not doing any of that, but I don't think so. I think he's actually studying the other team so he can learn some tendencies, see how one guy is skating versus another guy is, and just jotting numbers down in his head. Maybe he's seen a couple pair of D-men skating together during the warm-ups. I think he's taking note of that. I love that. To me, that was something that I kind of picked up pretty quickly when I saw him out on the ice in warm-ups early on in the season. When you're talking about that, all I can think about is the one video that I had sent in our group chat of the goalie talking about when there's a team coming at him and he's looking at, that guy's a righty and that guy's a lefty and this one, they only have one lefty on their team. And I was like, all I can think about is then breaking down the numbers and the people and the who's got what shot and
yeah, no,
that's what I'm picturing is happening in his head.
I think so too. Either that or he's zoned out, just kind of like looking up at the one video board or something. I don't know, but I really truly think that he is literally taking notes in his head, watching them do warm-ups. Now, some guys are a little bit more deceptive when they do that. They get up near the blue line or even the red line and they start stretching and then they just turn their head and they're kind of looking over, right? And they're kind of a little deceptive. Nope. Ivan is literally kneeling, facing directly at the opposing team, watching them warm up. I absolutely think that's brilliant, and more guys need to be doing that and watching what the other team is doing on the ice in warm-ups, because I think you can learn so much. All right. Coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show is 6 more questions with Ivan Bondarenko. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
You're listening to the Power Play Post Show. Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. It's time. 6 more questions with Ivan Bondarenko. Ivan, you ready for these?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Number 1, who was the greatest influence on your hockey career?
My dad.
Really?
Probably my dad. Yeah, he maybe not necessarily coached my teams, but he coached in pretty much all the organization that I played at as a kid, just so he can be there and he can be helping. And he played himself, so he has a great knowledge of the game, and the passion, I think, came a lot from him. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I give him big credit.
Now, did he, your parents are still over in Russia, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And is he still involved in hockey over there now?
He actually is coaching right now in Turkey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's coaching like a pro hockey there, but
that's awesome.
Yeah. He's just enjoying his time at the moment. They're trying to get as close as possible to come see us. So,
well, have your parents seen a professional game that you've played in yet live?
No, they have not.
Gotcha.
They have not.
So
yeah, it's kind of on the bucket list for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can understand that. All right. Number 2, what is your dream job outside of playing hockey?
Oh, dream job outside of playing hockey. I don't know. I think being like a action movie actor would be pretty cool.
Oh.
Yeah, just get to travel places and do some cool stunts. I think that would be an amazing job. You get paid pretty well. So I wouldn't mind doing that.
I love it. Some of the guys have already said like YouTube golfer, and I'm like, no. But
I'm terrible at golf, so I can't do that.
That's awesome. All right. Which artist is on your Spotify playlist the most? Who are you listening to the most right now when you listen to music?
Oh, that's a hard one. Honestly, it's a big mix of everything, but a lot of it is some Russian music, to be honest. So it's either old music that my parents listened to, or some just newer Russian rap that I still remember from being back at home.
Okay, now you said rap. So some of this music is in like a rap style, right?
Yes, and some of it more like I guess you guys would consider it country. We would call it chanson. So
chanson.
It's a little different, yeah, but it's like that old style music, kind of guitar played, more of a live instrument. So
do me a favor, because I am a musician myself. I would love to hear a couple samples. If you could send me something like just in like Messenger, just send me a couple things that you listen to. I would love to just check it out. Being a musician myself, it's one of the reasons why music is a big part of my 6 more questions almost every year, is because I just, as a musician myself, guitar player, I would definitely be interested. All right. Number 4, who is the most interesting guy in the locker room? Now, I'm basing this off of that commercial that you see for Dos Equis, and he's like, the most interesting guy in the world. Who to you is the most interesting guy in the locker room?
I gotta go with Jeet.
Oh, really? So assistant equipment manager Jeets. Okay. Any reason why?
Oh, he's just character. You never know. You never know what's on his plans, what he's been up to. It's always something new. So I think when you talk about somebody interesting, every time I go to the rink, I'm excited to see him just to hear what's going on.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know he is definitely a popular guy in the locker room. He makes people smile all the time.
He does.
He does. That's awesome. All right. Number 5, your favorite candy or sweet?
Not much of a sweet guy. So
No? Yeah,
more salty. Like I would eat a bag of chips watching a 30-minute TV show, the family size, and I'd be totally fine with myself. So, but if we're talking sweets, I guess I would take like sweet ropes.
Okay.
Like, yeah, those are pretty good. maybe Twix. Twix
Okay.
will be another one. Yeah.
I like Twix too. Yeah, Twix and Milky Way are my two candy
Milky
bars.
Way. Yeah, that's a great one.
All right, number 6. This is the one that's been on every single year. A zombie outbreak has happened, and you're locked in an ice hockey arena. Who is the one person, dead or alive, fictional or non-fictional, that you would want with you in that arena?
I'll take Alexander, my oldest kid.
Oh.
He's he's hilarious. He's a beauty, and he probably would love that kind of stuff. So I think even if we wouldn't make him, we would have a great time. Great time running around surviving. So
well, the way I envision it is that the ice is still in, and somehow the ice plant is still working, even if the zombie apocalypse is happening. So I was like, I'd be skating out there. I'd be like, I'd make sure I had some sort of blade on, because if a zombie came in, I'd just kick him with my skate. So
that's fair. No, I think we would be exploring, walking around, building forts and stuff.
Yeah.
Knowing him, he would be having a blast. So
that's awesome.
I think we'd have a great time. Yeah.
Well, you probably have the best the best situation of all the hockey players on the team right now, having 2 kids and being able to just, being able to share this time with them is so great. I've talked to so many hockey players over the years who have kids, who get them on the ice after practice or whatever, and it's just a special moment. So good luck to you. Congratulations on being here, and just, thank you very much for doing the show with us. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. It was awesome. I appreciate it a lot.
Awesome. He is Ivan Bondarenko, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Ivan Bondarenko, and 6 more questions with him. But Taylor, we got 3 games to kind of get through, and there's a lot of, listen, there's a lot of notes that we should really kind of mentally take from these 3 games, because the team did fall behind twice in 2 of those games by 2 goals. But obviously came back to get the wins. So there are definitely things there for Brant Sherwood and John Quenneville to look into. But let's get into these games.
Alrighty. The Black Bears complete a 3-game set versus the Danbury Hat Tricks, winning on Thanksgiving Eve 6-3. November 26, 2025, Visions Veterans Memorial Arena, Game 15 of the season. Danbury Hat Tricks at Binghamton Black Bears. The first period, the Black Bears, while on the man-up advantage, score the game's first goal at the 5:05 mark of the first period off the stick of C.J. Stubbs.
Shocker, right? Like a power play, C.J. Stubbs. No one would have thought that. I mean, come on, right? It's like, that's a shocker. No. All right, so first period notes. Scratches in the game were Tyson Kirkby, Zach Sirota, still out, and Wyatt Freelander. The starters for the game was C.J. Stubbs, Austin Thompson, Ivan Bondarenko, Austin D'Orazio, Dan Stone, and Connor McAnanima got the start. A shocker. Danbury's first penalty was a boarding to Ian Tukney. He saw an opportunity to board Emerson Emery and then did so. And no surprise, the Black Bears score on their first power play opportunity. The power play keeps getting better and better. And I know, Taylor, you and I had conversations about the power play where it wasn't firing, like they were sustaining all the pressure. They were controlling it. And there was one rare game where there was a power play where they literally couldn't get it out of their own defensive zone, and the other team was basically controlling it. But for the most part, even when they weren't scoring a lot of power play goals, they were controlling the puck and not really letting the other team clear the puck. But the power play lately has just been firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching the power play, and honestly think a lot of it has to do with putting DeRazio out there.
Yeah.
You know, they went from that 5 forward, or I'm talking about the
Yeah.
penalty kill at this point. But having DeRazio out there to kind of chase the puck when needed, or just to kind of cover the blue line a little bit better, so you can have those guys get closer to the net and kind of get in there. I think that's made a world of a difference, and it just seems like it's getting better as each game goes on.
I agree.
And it's proven.
Yeah. The hat tricks came into the game still wanting to be physical, even after CMAC was ran into during the first part of the period, which I actually got pictures of, by the way. I have 2 pictures of when the Danbury player came into the blue crease, and basically, I think Connor was kind of backing himself up and kind of backed over and tripped over the Danbury player. I actually have a pretty much 2 good pictures of that. He was solid the whole 20 minutes. Both teams also seemed eager to take a lot of shots. Glad Nick Swain dropped the gloves when Emery was boarded. That was exactly what Emery would have done if this season for his teammates. So I was glad to see him do that. I think defensively, the Black Bears can limit more of the hat tricks chances, the power play opportunities. Binghamton was 1 for 1. Danbury had 3 opportunities and did not get a goal. That's a theme leading up to the Twin City game. Shots on goal was Binghamton 18 and Danbury 15. A lot of shots in that opening period between the 2 teams.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it was a lot of back and forth, and it's always shocking to me when a team can keep up almost shot for shot with Binghamton, especially in the first period.
Yeah, agreed. All right,
second period.
Yep.
The hat tricks tied the game 149 into the second period with a Drew Welch goal, making this a 1-1 game. Early in the second period, Drew Welch scored his second goal of the game, and just under 5 minutes later, giving the hat tricks their first lead of the game, just 6:36 into the middle period. The Black Bears have defensive turnovers, come back as the hat tricks capitalize and score their third goal of the period at the 8:16 mark, putting the hat tricks up 3-1 off the stick of their captain, Johnny Ruiz. The Black Bears were not going down without a fight, as Austin DeRazio sent a laser shot past Frankie McClendon for the Black Bears' second goal of the game with 6:11 to go in the period. DeRazio was not done in the period as he scored again on the hat tricks netminder from almost the same position on the ice with 1:08 left to go in the period. CJ Stubbs puts the Black Bears back on top again with a goal off a rebound shot from DeRazio just 19 seconds later, making this a 4-3 game.
Okay, so we have to stop here for a second and just literally talk about those 3 shots that DeRazio took. They were all on the left side. He was trailing. He was coming up on the left side of the ice, and he basically shot and aimed for the same spot all 3 times, which was the far post. So if you're coming up on the left side, the far post is on the right side. And he basically shot there twice and scored. And then on the third shot that he took, Frankie McClendon was able to get his leg pad, his pad out there, block it. But unfortunately for him, CJ Stubbs was there to clean up the rebound. And I got to be honest, Austin DeRazio, 100% for that Danbury game was the reason why the Black Bears won.
Yeah, I think everybody would agree with you on that one.
Yeah. All right. Drew Welch has now scored 4 goals in the last 3 games against the Black Bears. They need to find a way to put a body on him. The Black Bears were dominated because of turnovers in all 3 zones in the first half of the period, but then obviously turned it around in the second half. In the second half of the period, they started to get sustained pressure, but the hat tricks already got a lot of damage inflicted in this game. Wow, what a turnaround for the Black Bears as DeRazio puts the game back on his back with 2 goals and the primary assist on the go-ahead goal. Now, how do the Black Bears come out in the third period, and do they play and how do they play to finish this game off? This is a great final minutes of the period, but with the first 12 minutes, not what we're used to seeing. Power play opportunities, Binghamton 0 for 0, and Danbury 0 for 0 as well. Shots on goal, Binghamton 19, Danbury 12. Totals in this game was Binghamton 37, Danbury 27. And Taylor, let's go into the third period.
Third period, the Black Bears continue what they did in the second period with CJ Stubbs' third goal of the game, completing his hat trick at the 3:37 mark of the final period. Austin D'Orazio scored his hat trick, 5:35 into the third period on the power play as Trey DeLaury was in the box for tripping. The Black Bears win the game 6-3, and the third time they have beaten the hat tricks with this season with that score, and all three of those times were at home.
Yes. That's the other really kind of interesting stat there. Now, you could argue, okay, that's great. Binghamton has scored 18 goals against Danbury at home, but Danbury's also scored 9 goals against Binghamton at home. So they seem to find a way to at least get... Now, of course, I think probably like 4 or 5 of those goals are probably Drew Welch goals. So we've got to figure out a way to stop him. There are players like Stephen Klink and Drew Welch that for some reason, when Binghamton comes around, they just score against us. They just do. I don't know why, but it's true. And we'll talk about Stephen Klink in the next game. The Black Bears have answered with 2 hat tricks and 6 goals. 5 goals since the hat tricks took a 3-1 lead halfway through the second period, which was a great ending to the game. D'Orazio and Stubbs both completing the Black Bears' 4th and 5th hat tricks of the season. I want it to be known, both Stubbs and D'Orazio were on fire tonight, but the Black Bears' 2nd and 3rd and 4th goals were where D'Orazio shined tonight. He drove on the left side of McClendon on all 3 goals. The Stubbs game winner was an awful rebound from D'Orazio's 3rd shot from the same location. He is turning into a very special defenseman for the Black Bears, and Taylor's even talked about him as well. Listen, when the Black Bears were down by 2 and had given up 3 straight goals, I think a lot of people thought this game was over. That crossed my mind. I'll be honest with you. But then the Black Bears do what they do, and they turned on the Jets. Taylor, let's talk about this because this becomes a little bit of a theme for these 3 games, at least this first game and the third game. When they were down by 2 goals, did you think possibly, well, maybe Danbury is going to break through and finally get their first win of the season against Black Bears?
Truthfully, no. Unless there's only like 5 minutes left to go in the entire game, I refuse to have any mindset about how the game's going to go.
Yeah.
Even if we're up by a bunch of goals, because it's happened in Watertown. We've been up by a handful of goals, and Watertown comes in the third period on firing on all cylinders and, comes close. So I try not to have any kind of mindset about, the game's going to go this way or that way. So I never thought that. And it's just, I kind of, you can see the definite, difference in the fan base as that the second period started to shift, right, and they started to get goals. You saw the immediate lift.
Yeah, there was a reaction. There was a reaction from the fans when it started to happen. Totally understand what you're saying there. Black Bears 3 for 3 on the PK, 2 for 3 on the power play. They were doing what they're doing on the special teams exactly what we thought they would. Black Bears score 5 unanswered goals. That was fantastic comeback win. The Black Bears have now beaten the hat tricks 3 times by the score of 6-3, as Taylor already mentioned. All have been at Division's Veterans Memorial Arena. The Black Bears are now 13-2-0 through 15 games and have 38 points, the best in the Empire Division and the FPHL. Power play opportunities, Binghamton in that third period, 1 for 2. Danbury 0 for 0. Shots on goal, Binghamton 15, Danbury 11. Totals, Binghamton 52 and Danbury 38. Before we get to the final numbers of this game, Taylor, one of the things that I've been really impressed with this year, other than the one Port Huron game where I thought the Black Bears took too many minors, they have been so disciplined this year. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, I mean, it's just even against Danbury, I feel like Danbury tried, to kind of get stuff to happen, and it wasn't. And even, I think after the game in Danbury, somebody had said something to Emery. It might have even been Jeremy. And he goes, listen, I would have fought. He goes, but it's just nobody wanted to, or there's just no need for it. And it's one of those things where there's a time and a place. Mm-hmm. Even some of the penalties that have happened, against the defensive men in the last couple of games, it might have been a breakaway and they took a penalty to stop a shot from happening.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's a time and a place. And Other than Port Huron, they seem to have everything together.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But I just wanted to be noted that, we talk about it. This has been a disciplined Binghamton Black Bears team. And I like that. I like the fact that they're just playing hockey and they're just straight up beating people. And that's the important thing. I did see a comment on Facebook by somebody after this Danbury game where they said that it was so funny too, because they were like, "Oh, Binghamton cheats," and everybody knows it. And then there was another Danbury fan that kind of laughed at that and said, "Dude, you're talking about the wrong team at this point." So it was kind of funny that a Danbury fan said that to another Danbury fan, because I think Danbury fans are probably looking at us now going, "We want that again. We want that. We had that 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We want that again." And I think they're realizing that, they're maybe their displeasure for Brant Sherwood at one point because he threw a bottle at them. And by the way, he missed. I joked about that with him on Saturday. He's like, "Yeah, I threw a bottle, got 4 games," and it's just kind of funny. But he missed. He missed the player. I mean, he threw the bottle, but he missed. He missed the fan. The point I'm making here, though, is that the discipline that this team has seen so far has been remarkable, and I think it needs to be commended. And I think we need to bring it up more when they have these low penalty minute periods, and especially when they don't give up a power play opportunity in like 2 or 3 of the third periods that we've seen in the last 5 or 6 games. That's pretty impressive, because usually that's when guys are getting tired, they're behind on the play, and they're using their sticks to slow guys down, and they get caught for hooking or tripping and stuff like that. Black Bears have been pretty good about that, in the third periods. And that says a lot about their stamina and the training that they're doing coming into the season, which obviously has been better because it's helped them.
Speaking of Brant for just a moment, because you talking about it being such a disciplined team, I think he deserves kudos on that too, because, he's been very disciplined. I haven't seen any, reach around the glass or yelling at, other coaches or yelling at people on the ice.
Yes.
But it did make me think of a funny moment in Danbury after the 102 section had left and the Black Bear fans had moved in.
Yeah.
We're sitting there, and I don't remember what was happening on the ice, but I looked over and Brant was covering his mouth and turning to the side and just laughing so hard that he was like trying to hide from everybody. And I can't remember what was going on the ice, but he was just like, he was having the time of his life.
That's funny. I mean, for him to be smiling and having a good time in Danbury, that says a lot about what's going on with him right now and just with the team in general. So good for him. All right, let's wrap this one up with a bow.
Black Bears double up hat tricks 6-3 on Thanksgiving Eve. Austin D'Orazio scored his 4th, 5th, and 6th goals of the season, scoring his first professional hat trick and assisted on 2 other goals for a 5-point night. CJ Stubbs scored his 6th, 7th, and 8th goals of this season, his first hat trick as a Black Bear, and also assisted on 2 goals for a 5-point night. Ivan Bondarenko assisted on 3 goals.
Shocker.
No surprise there.
So funny that we both had the same response on that. That's great.
Mac Jansen assisted on 2 goals. Connor McAnanima saved 35 of 38 shots, earning his 8th win of the season. This was the 3rd game this season that the Black Bears have won by a score of 6-3 against the hat tricks. The Black Bears are now 13-2-0 through 15 games, have 38 points, in first place in the Empire Division.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's get right into maybe, I don't want to say the letdown game of the weekend, because Danbury, there was probably some anticipation there, definitely some anticipation for the Twin City game, but Watertown's like, oh, okay, we're going up to Watertown. Remember, we go up to Watertown like 13 times this year, right? So maybe not, but it might have been one of the better games too.
Well, I mean, the trip up there was definitely more interesting, probably, because I saw a lot of posts.
Yes.
And it looked like it was a rough ride to get up there.
Yes, I agree.
But everybody at least made it up there and back safe, so that's all that matters.
Yes.
Black Bears win in Watertown 4-1, November 28th, 2025, Watertown Arena. Game 16 of the season, Binghamton Black Bears at Watertown Wolves. First period, the Black Bears opened the scoring first with a shorthanded goal from Austin Thompson with just 8:31 left to go in the period, making this a 1-0 game.
All right. Scratches for Binghamton was Tyson Kirkby, Zachary Demarais, and Connor McAnanima. The starters in this game was Ivan Bondarenko, CJ Stubbs, Austin Thompson, Austin DeRazio, Dan Stone, and Dominic Tumay. And the reason why Zachary Demarais was scratched was Zach Sirota returned as the 10th forward after missing the last 15 games due to injury. Just 34 seconds into the period, Dominic Tumay and Dan Stone had to scramble to keep the puck from crossing the line. 2 close calls already. Chicho Laughlin earned the first penalty of the game, a hook. The Wolves were not able to get one shot on goal during the power play. The Black Bears penalty kill continues to dominate teams. Great effort from Ivan Bondarenko and knowing when to go, hitting Austin Thompson, who scored the Black Bears' first 4-on-5 shorthanded goal and the Black Bears' second shorty of the season. The Black Bears get their first power play opportunity at the 17:24 mark when Boston Bird is tagged with a hooking call. Watertown was aggressive on the PK as they kept the Black Bears on the perimeter, and when they got the puck to the point men, the Wolves had players on them immediately. That's one of the things I noticed on the power play against Watertown was as soon as the puck went up to the blue line and we were shifting it back and forth, they moved 2 of their guys immediately, very aggressively up to us. And that made Brant Sherwood have to change the way the power play operated in the second and the third periods. And I did notice he did make a change there a little bit, or at least the players made the change on the ice. They adjusted, so to speak. The period ended with the Wolves getting the last 2 shots on goal. Black Bears need to control the puck better and create better lanes, power play opportunities. Binghamton 0 for 1, Watertown 0 for 2. Shots on goal, Binghamton 13 and Watertown 13 as well. So that's 2 games in a row where in the first period, a team was matching or very close to the Black Bears on shots on goal.
Yeah, starting this game, you talked about it being maybe a little bit of a letdown, but those first, 34 seconds, man, had me right on the edge of my seat.
No, absolutely. All right, second period.
Second period, the Wolves get their first goal of the game, 4:21 into the middle period, as Stephen Klink, who we've kind of briefly mentioned before, received an east-to-west pass from Boston Bird to score, making this a 1-1 game. The Black Bears get the lead back from the returning Zach Sirota, who scored his first goal of the season at the 9:21 mark of the second period. With Chris Corrigan in the box for high sticking, Gavin Yates, CJ Stubbs scores his 9th goal of the season, his 5th man-up goal, making this a 3-1 game with 7:02 left to go in the second period.
The Wolves get the first goal of the game. Was a play that Tumay stopped 3 times in the first period. He had been so good in the first, going post to post, but Klink was able to beat him on this particular shot. And again, I think if Klink has 5 or 6 opportunities on a goaltender and they're really good shots, he's going to score 1 or 2 goals. He's just that kind of player. He may not be a complete player and do all the things that he needs to do on the ice. He may not be the fastest, but by golly, he has a good shot, and he's going to beat you if you give him 5 or 6 opportunities, which the Black Bears over the last year and a half, when they've seen Stephen Klink, they've given him the opportunities. And I just think you need to put a body on him. You just need to put somebody on him a little bit more, just like what they need to do with Drew Welch and Danbury. Just get a body on him so he can't make that easy shot. Because if you give him the easy shot, if you give him a clear lane, those 2 guys are going to beat you. They're just going to.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we talk about how great our team is and, everybody can score and everybody can do this, that, and the third, there's also a lot of other guys in the league that can do the same kind of thing. So for anybody to think that, we're not going to get scored on, it's not realistic. And,
right.
Guys like Klink or Welch, they're the guys that are going to do it. And it's shown. It's one of those things. You can be the best goaltender out there, you're still going to get scored on at some point. It's the name of the game.
Someone brought up this next point to me, and I've been thinking about it for a while, and I really wanted to put this out there. If you notice, when the Black Bears give up a lot of goals, or just goals in general, they're usually on odd man rushes. They're not usually off of rebounds or long sustained pressure in the from the opposing team. And basically what that means is it's like a shootout, right? Where a guy's coming in and he's got that, he's coming in and he's maybe going down the middle, which I say is the best place to take a shot when you're in the shootout, is go right down the middle, because the odds are you're going to beat the goaltender either down or up. And going to the outside doesn't always work. It just limits your chances. But when there's these odd man rushes coming in, that's when I think the Black Bears get burned the most, right? Now, do we give up a lot of odd man rushes? Not necessarily, but some of our goals do definitely come from that. They don't usually come from rebounds. We're really pretty good on rebound control, even though it does happen. And, of course, long, sustained pressure from the opposing team. We don't give them that. I think it's a very interesting point to bring up that odd man rushes sometimes are the things that hurt the Black Bears the most.
Yeah, and I, to your point, I do think it's, odd man rushes. They're coming straight at you. They're not, wasting time to go on the outside to kind of come in at you. It's straight on, and it's a lot harder to try to defend.
Right. And it doesn't matter how good of a goaltender you are. You will get beat on odd man rushes. No shock to me that Zach Sirota scored in his return. It was a great shift by Emerson Emery, Jacob Shankar, and Sirota, who got the puck into the zone, was able to keep the pressure up until Sirota found an open shot to put the puck past Colgan on the inside post. Gavin Yates took a high stick to the face in the first penalty of the second period committed by Chris Corrigan. CJ's 9th goal of the season was also his 5th power play goal, as we already mentioned this year, matching Mac Jansen with 5 man-up goals, trailing Gavin Yates, who leads the team with 6 power play goals. Much better period for the Black Bears, even with the Wolves' 1 goal. Power play opportunities, Binghamton 1 for 1 and Watertown 0 for 0. The shots on goal, Binghamton 17, Watertown 7. So that's a little bit more like how Black Bear shots on goal in a period is usually like. And total for the first 40 minutes was Binghamton 30 and Watertown 20. Let's go into the third period.
Third period, the Black Bears get another goal from the third line as Emerson Emery and Nick Swain work from their own end of the ice into the offensive zone, with Swain getting his 2nd goal of the season with 7:11 to go in the game.
Yeah, I really liked. I just really liked the way the third line played in Friday's game, Taylor. They just seemed to do all the right things, and Swain gets a goal, Sirota gets a goal. As we'll talk about here at the end of this game, Sirota gets the game-winning goal, and he's now scored 3 game-winning goals. Matter of fact, it's just the way he plays the game with all the heart and the personality that Zach Sirota has when he's out on the ice. It's just really nice to see. But the second line on Friday night the third line on Friday night was just so good.
Yeah, and I've kind of, we've been talking about the first and second line a lot when it comes to scoring. I mean, we talk about CJ Stubbs and Ivan Bondarenko constantly when we do our wrap-ups. Shocker to everybody. So it's nice to see that the third line, with Sirota coming back, it's almost like, he's bringing that high energy that I don't know if it was missing or if it just wasn't complete, but he brought it and it worked.
Yeah. The Black Bears continue their well-disciplined play. No penalties in the second period, and the third period has been very clean as well. Just 1 penalty in the third period, an interference call for Zach Sirota. How many times in a game or in a career has Stephen Klink popped up behind the Binghamton defenders looking for a cherry pick opportunity? It's what he's good at. We already talked about him. We already know he can do that. Stubbs appeared to take a puck to the face up high, and Sirota was inserted into his position, but we did see CJ was back out in the ice for the Black Bears' first power play of the third period. The Austin Thompson first period shorthanded goal was his 6th shorty of his career, and now placing him at second place in the Black Bears franchise history, just 1 behind the leader, Tyson Kirkby. The last 3 goals for Zach Sirota, this is what I was alluding to, has scored all game winners tonight against the Wolves, and then games 2 and 3 in the finals against the Thunderbirds. Big time goal Zach should be another nickname for him, but he's already got way too many nicknames. And I think I've given them all to him. Gavin Yates' point streak ends at 13 games. Basically, the first 12 games of the season, or 12 12 games. I mean, basically he had a really nice long point streak. He was not able to register a point in the game, but was a great run for Gavin to start the season. I wouldn't say this was a bad game or a great game for the Black Bears. The Wolves put up 31 shots on goal and likely took more shots than that, which were blocked on their way through. However, it is the Black Bears' 5th straight win and their 14th of the season, especially playing the day after Thanksgiving on the road in Watertown, so nothing to be upset about this game. Dominic Tomei continues to look very good for the Black Bears. No doubt in my mind, he has a great future just from what we've seen in the first 5 appearances. Tomorrow at the arena, the Thunderbirds return with new name and new jerseys. Power play opportunities, Binghamton 0 for 2, Watertown 0 for 1, shots on goal, Binghamton 7, Watertown 11. They did get the edge in the shots on goal in the third period. Binghamton had 37 shots on goal, and Watertown had 31. Taylor, your thoughts on what we've seen from Dominic Tomei so far in his 5 games?
I've really enjoyed watching him. It really reminds me of watching, Connor the last several years. They play very similar. And he's very quick, and the way that he watches the play, and he's able to, he stops rebounds. He doesn't let a lot of rebounds happen. Mm-hmm. He, very much controls the flow of the game when the puck's coming towards him. And I really enjoy watching him out there on the ice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, let's wrap this one up with a bow so we can get to Twin City.
Black Bears win with a Sirota game winner, 4-1. Austin Thompson scored a shorthanded goal, his 12th goal of the season. CJ Stubbs scored his 9th goal of the season, which was his 5th power play goal. Zach Sirota scored his 1st goal of the season in his return from IR, which was the game winner, had an assist on the final goal for a 2-point night. Ivan Bondarenko assisted on 2 goals and had a 2-point night. Emerson Emery assisted on 2 goals and had a 2-point night. Nick Swain scored his 2nd goal of the season. Dominic Tomei earned his 4th win of the season, saving 30 of 31 shots. The Black Bears are now 14-2-0 through 16 games, have 41 points, and remain in the first place in the Empire Division.
Yeah, so obviously great run for them, and the Black Bears are just kind of rolling through these games pretty well. Let's go to Saturday night at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena against the new named Twin City Thunderbirds.
Black Bears win in a comeback style over the Twin City Thunderbirds 5-4. November 29th, 2025, Visions Veterans Memorial Arena, as Bobby just mentioned. Game 17 of the season, Twin City Thunderbirds at Binghamton Black Bears. The first period, after the Black Bears dominate the first 7 minutes of the period, the Thunderbirds score the game's first goal on their 2nd shot of the game, a rebound goal from Don Carter Jr., 8:04 into the first period. The Black Bears, that's your line. My bad.
What? Oh, no.
That was mine.
Yeah, that's you.
I completely missed that one. The Black Bears don't take long to tie the game back up with CJ Stubbs' even strength goal with 9:40 left to go in the period, making this a 1-1 game.
Yes, you get to read all the goal scores. That's okay. Listen, we're on our 3rd game. Imagine how the players felt after Saturday night's game. So I get it. And you were sick too. You were sick during some of these games.
I fell asleep immediately after the Watertown game. I almost didn't make it through that game.
I know. I messaged you, and then you didn't message me back until like 3:00 in the morning. So you obviously woke up, rolled over, look at your phone. Okay. I want to pick these guys. All right. For the impact players. All right. In the first period, scratches, Tyson Kirkby, Zachary Desmarais for his 2nd straight scratch, and Dominic Tomei. Starters were CJ Stubbs, Austin Thompson, Ivan Bondarenko, Austin Durazio, Dan Stone, and Connor McAnanima. Black Bears dominated the first 7 minutes of the period and got nothing to show for it. Then the Thunderbirds scored on their 2nd shot of the game, a rebound with no one in front to clear the puck. CJ Stubbs and the first line quickly reacted and got this game back to a tie, which was pretty impressive how quickly they did. The Black Bears, through 14 minutes of this game, are leading in shots 14-3, but the game is still tied with both teams with 1 goal. The game's first penalty went to the Thunderbirds. Timofey Simonov, who interfered with Scott Romakers. The Thunderbirds are not playing like a 4-win team. My vantage point, Taylor, and I don't know if you saw this as well, it didn't feel like through the first 20 minutes that the Thunderbirds were playing like a 4-win team. Now, granted, maybe the Black Bears weren't playing like a 14-win team, right? So maybe there was a little bit of meeting in the middle, right? The Black Bears playing down a little bit and the Twin City team playing up a little bit, but it just didn't feel like we were seeing a 4-win team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've kind of thought about it a lot because, before this weekend happened and we had talked about, the Thunderbirds coming in, I had said that I was hoping that I wasn't going to be disappointed because they weren't the same team.
Yeah.
But after, the game and after thinking about it some more, I kind of didn't really think, not to look at the numbers and, because the first year that we had the championship run, they weren't even, first place in the division.
No, it was Columbus.
And they beat out Columbus, and Columbus had rode that bus the entire year about how they were the top of the league and nobody was going to beat them. And then, Carolina came in and, squeaked them out of there.
Right.
So it's one of those things where we've always had a tough but good competition with Carolina. And so I'm kind of glad that it's still that way. They still have the same coach. They still have a lot of returning players. And, so it's kind of like the same thing for us. We have the same coach. We do have a lot of the returning players. They have, quite a few new players. We have quite a few new players. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's almost like a similar matchup. And Carolina and Binghamton have always matched really well together, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think they just did still maybe in this game, which is really interesting. All right. I think the Black Bears will make changes and come out differently in the second period. Little did I know what was going to happen. Power play opportunities, Binghamton 0 for 1 and Twin Cities did not have an opportunity. Shots on goal, Binghamton 15 and Twin City had 7. Now, Taylor, let's go into what was a pretty crazy second period.
Second period, with Jesse Anderson in the penalty box for tripping, the Thunderbirds score their second goal of the game off the stick of Jacob Schnupp, who cleaned up a rebound in front of Connor McAnanama 2:05 into the middle frame. Just 3 minutes and 15 seconds later, the Thunderbirds took a 3-1 lead with a James Farmer Valiente goal. The Black Bears then started a 3-goal scoring fest, scoring in just 2 minutes and 6 seconds from Scott Ramakers, then 2 power play goals from Austin Durazio and Gavin Yates, which made this a 4-3 game. The Thunderbirds tied the game up at 4 with a power play goal from Jan Salak, 8:57 into the second period.
It almost felt like in that 6 minutes that we saw all 6 of those goals, Taylor, it felt like we just didn't see much defense, right? And it was just offensive guys just going to town and scoring. And then, of course, to help the Black Bears out a little bit, the Twin City team went on a 5-on-3, and then we scored on the 5-on-3 part, and we scored on the 5-on-4 part. What were your thoughts during those 6 minutes watching all 6 of those goals going?
It was absolutely insanity, in my opinion, to watch that all happen. Because if you look at these two teams and you're like, oh, they scored, this many goals, and people would be like, oh, okay. And you're like, no, in 6 minutes. And
yeah,
it's just, it's not something that you would imagine, especially from these two teams, for something like that to happen in the second period. Especially with the way that the first period went. I mean, the first period was pretty relaxed and, it was a lot of back and forth, and you had 1 goal. And that's, the kind of games we expect with Carolina.
Yeah.
Is we expect those really close goals and, a 1-0 game, really. So
yeah.
all of that to happen in the second period was just insane.
It was. And a lot of times when you see that many goals happen by one team, the other team doesn't always necessarily come back and, reciprocate and do the same thing back to them. Usually it's one team or another, right? Like, so if you see 6 goals in a period, it might be 1 for one team and 5 for another, or 4 and 2, but you don't usually see it kind of match up like that, like it did in this one. What a run of 6 goals in just 6 minutes and 52 seconds from the two teams, with both scoring 3 goals. I would imagine Coach Harry was happy with his struggling team got 3 on the Black Bears in that stretch of time, where Brant Sherwood was likely taking notes on what went wrong in that stretch, more so the fact that they scored 3 as well. And what do I mean by that? Brant Sherwood he expects his teams to score 3 goals, right? What he doesn't expect is his team to give up 3 goals. So he was probably taking notes of what happened in those stretches where Twin City was able to do that, so he can work on it in practice and fix it so it doesn't happen again. That is something that Brandt is very good about. He sees certain things breaking down. Even when things are going good and he sees things breaking down, he takes notes so he can work on it in practice afterwards. That's what's made him so successful the last 2 years.
Well, and that's the great thing about having a team like you do. I mean, where they've been consistently winning. So it's a lot easier to look at this and be like, well, that's not working. This is what you need to do. Where if you aren't consistently winning, it's very hard to be like, well, it might be this, it could be that. Maybe we need to change this. So it's a lot easier to just sit there and be like, Brandt's writing down, oh, well, they scored 3 goals because this happened.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier, the following day when they, talk about their game or, when they go to the locker room and talk about it. It's just easier to bring up points than when you aren't consistently doing it.
Yeah. Defensively, the Black Bears can do better than they did in this period, in my opinion, at least. Yes, the Black Bears have 4 goals, and the game is tied going into the third period. It's anyone's game. But then again, that means the Thunderbirds, who have lost 7 straight to the Black Bears going back to the first Cup finals, is looking to get a win. Coach Sherwood and Quinville have a lot to discuss with the players during the intermission. Power play opportunities, Binghamton 2 for 4, and Twin City 2 for 2. Shots on goal, Binghamton 13, Twin City 11. Totals were Binghamton 28 and Twin City 18. Let's go into the third and the final period that we need to talk about.
Third period, the Black Bears regain the lead 5:36 into the third period with Jesse Anderson's first goal of the season, making this a 5-4 game. The Black Bears defense tightens for the next 14 minutes and 24 seconds of the period. The Black Bears win their 6th game in a row, improving to a 15-2.
Very interesting. Okay, so here's kind of what I wrote. I kind of did like a small little mini version of sometimes what I write about the day after. I wasn't sure I was going to frame this one. The team was fighting it all game, in my opinion. They were losing battles, making bad passes, passing it to places where no one was. I saw them do that at least 3 or 4 times. Connor was fighting it in between the pipes. You could just tell. He got frustrated, and at one point in the third period, he made a very commanding kind of save while standing up, and he kind of like tossed the puck down. And you could see that was his frustration kind of boiling over. Usually he is calm, cool, and demeanor. A 4-10 record scored what seemed like at least at ease at times against the Black Bears tonight. And that's not good. However, when I spoke to Brandt Sherwood after the game, he only said one simple thing. They find a way to win. So that's how I'm going to frame this one. They found a way to win. Good on Jesse for getting that first goal of the season. The game winner. The power play was good. The penalty kill, that was the worst we've seen all season, at least in the middle period. But it's just one game. Now the Black Bears prepare for Port Huron, who come in to Binghamton next Friday and Saturday. Power play opportunities, Binghamton 1 for 2. Twin City in the third period was 0 for 3. Shots on goal, Binghamton 12, Twin City 10, Binghamton 40, and for the totals, and Twin City 28. Do me a favor. Let's go back, and I want to get your opinion on what Brandt Sherwood told me after the game. Because when I asked him about what he thought of the game, he just literally looked to the side, and he just said, they find a way to win.
I'm sure that's how a lot of the fans felt. I was actually going to ask you, because it happened twice, and the fans on my side of the arena, which is right behind the opposing goalie, they were starting to get a little heated because not once, but twice, Babic
tripped one of our players.
It was Sirota, and it was both times Sirota. He has this way of sticking his stick out just enough to trip our player and not catch the ref's attention. And And let me tell you, it started to get real heated over there in that section.
Yeah.
And I noticed it a couple times, the tripping call against Jansen when, the guy fell over on his own.
Yep.
There was the missed call where Ford got hit in the face and nobody called it. So it was back and forth on both sides. It was, a lot of hit or miss.
It was poorly officiated for sure. 100%.
Yes.
You are correct. There were things that were missed. It looked like the referees were looking at something and they missed it. I don't know how they could do that, especially the Babbitt. The one trip that I remember of him doing of Sirota, I was like, wait, the ref's hand's not up? He was right there. How is that not called a trip? That was a crazy part of the game. But there's one other thing that we need to talk about. How is Austin D'Orazio standing today? That guy ran into the boards twice. Not once, twice. Somehow was able to hobble himself up and was basically hobbling back to the bench. And then he was out there for his next shift. I don't know how he did it. He had to have been icing today, at least some. But man, he hit the board so hard. I thought there was a car crash outside.
Well, I was so nervous that, watching him struggle to get to the bench, I was like, oh no, if he's done for the game, we're going to be at a loss. Like,
right.
It was one of those things where we're probably going to struggle. And then you look out there and he's back out on the ice skating and you're like, what? He literally just hobbled his butt to the bench. And
yeah, I don't get it. Good on him. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he heals up fine. But I did notice that the officiating was bad. Austin D'Orazio definitely took a couple shots into the boards. Not that I think anybody did anything wrong there. It's just he was going in hard, lost his footing, goes into the boards, and like I said, it sounded like a car crash. Let's see here. But they still won. They came back and they won twice in the last 3 games. Being down by 2 goals, they found a way to come back and win.
Yeah, and I saw a comment on, I think it was the Uncensored page, about somebody making a comment about, well, if you take Binghamton's goalie away, you guys aren't that good, or you guys aren't playing like 2-time champions, and you guys are just, you're holding on to that. You guys aren't the only ones who have championships. And I'm like, it's not that we have 2, it's that we have them back to back that we're, so happy and proud about. And I think that's the point that's missed.
And hold on a second here. Let me kind of defend this team for a second. They're freaking 15-2, right? And let's be honest, our number 1 goaltender could still play a little bit better. And I'm not knocking Connor. Don't get me wrong. But we could still play better as a team. Almost everybody on the team probably could do something just a little bit better, including Connor. So you want to bring up Connor? You want to say that we're only good because of Connor McAnanama? I don't think so. I think
it made me laugh when I read that.
He's a big part of it. Don't get me wrong. He's a big part of what we've done. But he could be a little bit better this year, and a few other players on this team could be a little bit better this year. Yeah, we're 15-2. So come talking to me when we're 2-15 and we just won 2 cups. And no. Oh, wow. Why did you tell me that at the end of the show?
I just wanted to get you all fired up.
Yeah, you did that.
Let's show on an exciting note.
All right, let's wrap up this 3rd game in 4 nights with a bow and move on.
Jesse Anderson's first goal wins it for the Black Bears 5-4. Austin D'Orazio scored his 7th goal of the season and assisted on 2 goals for a 3-point night. CJ Stubbs scored his 10th goal of the season and assisted on 2 goals for a 3-point night. Mac Jansen had 2 assists in the game. Scott Ramekers scored his 5th goal of the season and assisted on another for a 2-point night. Jesse Anderson scored his first goal of the season, which ended up being the game winner for the Black Bears. Gavin Yates scored his 10th goal of the season. Connor McAnanama saved 24 of 28 shots on goal, his 9th win of the season, and improves his record to 9-1-0. The Black Bears improved to 15-2-0 with 44 points and remain atop at the Empire Division. The Black Bears will now prepare for 2 games versus the Port Huron Prowlers next weekend right here at the arena.
Yeah, and everybody's kind of anticipating the physicality and whatever that is that they're going to bring, obviously, to those games. Hopefully, We don't see any downfalls of any players, no injuries. We don't want to see that. But those are going to be two big games because right now I believe they're 8 points behind us in the standings, Taylor, because I think they won. Well, they're playing tonight, right?
I know they lost their last game. They lost to Topeka last night. They are playing today. They lost today too.
Wow. So they lost to Topeka.
They lost 2-1 today, and they lost 5-1 yesterday.
So they are 11 points behind us. We have 44 points. They have 33 points. If they took both games, that would put them at 39 points, and we'd be at 44 points. We'd still have a 5-point lead. But I mean, that's far-fetched, right? That's I'm knocking on wood. I'm throwing salt over my shoulder. I promise you, I'm doing every freaking superstitious thing to get out of what I just said there. But it's two important games.
Just to bring this up for just a split second, because we've talked about how penalized they are.
Yeah.
They only had 2 penalties in today's game.
I don't believe that.
2 penalties.
That has to be fake.
Topeka had 2, 4, 5 penalties.
Wow.
So in total, 7 total penalties in the entire game.
Wow, I see that. That's crazy. But they still,
and there's no fights.
But they lost.
And they were all minors.
But they lost. That's the funny part. When they actually played hockey on a Sunday, they lost because they didn't goon it up.
Well, even the Saturday night game, because I looked at that one before we recorded today.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot of penalties, but they didn't have any penalties in the first period, and most of their penalties were in the second period. And there was 1, 2, 3 fights, and that's their first penalties. But again, there wasn't really that many. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 penalties against Port Huron.
Let's talk.
And they lost 5-1.
Let's talk about how nice it is that the drama hasn't been around Binghamton, but in Monroe and Athens, I was last night. Elias Thompson in the hallway, not even dressed in the game, going after Tucker Scandalberry. How about that? I mean, come on, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out in the suspension list coming up.
Yeah, I started to watch a little bit of that game because I wanted to know what all happened.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like things are going to get a little more tense down there because I imagine they face each other a lot, kind of like we do Danbury and Watertown.
Yeah.
But I was kind of watching it, and the Athens player really, got Scantleberry to come after him, and then just did the wave and the smile and the laugh like a taunt. And I feel like both sides were kind of at a wrong there. But what happened outside of the arena, that was bad.
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting. Honestly, we've gone so long today. Three games to cover. Kyle Stephan news. So let's get right into this. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey? BinghamtonHockey.net. That's all you need to know. Thank you to Rob Lepolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our music director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, Ivan Bondarenko, for answering 6 more questions. Thank you very much for listening. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.